Mr. Fogg returned to his house on Savile Row. Passepartout was arranging his master's wardrobe. The Frenchman had imagined a calm life with quiet walks and peaceful evenings. He had no idea what was about to happen. "Passepartout," said Fogg without a trace of emotion, "we're leaving in 10 minutes. Pack a carpet bag with 2 shirts and 3 pairs of stockings. Bring my woolen coat and the traveling rug. Do not forget the banknotes. We leave for Dover." Passepartout dropped the shoes he was polishing. "Leaving tonight?" "Yes, we're going around the world in 80 days. Passepartout's eyes widened. Around the world in 80 days, precisely. The Frenchman had dreamed of quiet. Instead, he was being thrown into the greatest adventure of his life. But he had no choice. He obeyed, though his hands trembled as he packed. At exactly 8:45 that evening, Mr. Fogg and Passepartout left Savile Row and entered a cab. The horses' hoofs clattered against the stones as they hurried through the foggy streets of London. Gas lamps glowed faintly, and the bells of Big Ben struck the hour as if to mark the beginning of their strange voyage. At Charing Cross Station, the train was waiting. Passengers hurried to their compartments, porters shouted, and whistles blew. Calm as ever, Fogg checked his watch, purchased tickets, and boarded. Passepartout followed, still dizzy from the speed of events. "Mon Dieu," he muttered. "Here I thought I had found peace, and now I am off to the ends of the earth." The train whistled and moved forward. The journey had begun. At that same moment, another man was watching. His name was Detective Fix, an agent of Scotland Yard. He had been following rumors about the Bank of England robbery. The description of the suspect, a tall, well-dressed Englishman with calm manners, seemed to match Phileas Fogg. When Fix saw Fogg and his servant board the train to Dover with such haste, his suspicions deepened. Why else would a gentleman leave London so suddenly with a bag of banknotes? Fix decided to follow them. He would keep a close eye on this mysterious traveler until he had proof. Thus, as the train sped into the night, 3 men were bound together by fate: Fogg, calm and determined, who trusted in timetables more than chance; Passepartout, confused but loyal, who longed for peace but found adventure; and Fix, watchful and suspicious, who believed he was chasing a thief. The stage was set for an extraordinary race against time. The train from Paris rattled southward through the French countryside. Fields of golden wheat and rows of vineyards rolled past the windows. Villages with red-tiled roofs and small church towers flashed by as the train sped on. Inside the carriage, Phileas Fogg sat with his usual calm, his eyes occasionally glancing at the timetable in his hand. Passepartout, on the other hand, pressed his face to the glass like an eager child. He had never traveled so far from London, and every detail fascinated him: the smoke of distant factories, the peasants gathering grapes, the winding rivers that shone in the afternoon sun. "Mon Dieu," he whispered, "I thought my master was a quiet man who lived only by his clock. Instead, he drags me across all of France within a day." Fogg, hearing him, simply nodded and adjusted his cuffs. "The train is on time," he said. When they reached Marseilles, the air was filled with the smell of salt and tar. Ships crowded the port, their masts rising like a forest of poles against the evening sky. The Mediterranean lay before them, blue and endless. For Passepartout, it was a first glimpse of a world beyond Europe. Within hours, they boarded the steamship Mongolia, which was bound for Egypt. The Mongolia was a proud vessel, painted black with gleaming brass rails. Its tall smokestack belched clouds of coal smoke, and its engines beat with the rhythm of a giant heart. On deck, the salty wind whipped through the rigging, and gulls followed in their wake. Passengers came from many nations: English merchants, French officers, Indian officials, and travelers of every description. The deck echoed with different languages: English, French, Italian, Arabic, and more. Passepartout at first struggled to keep his balance as the ship rocked gently. He leaned over the rail and groaned, if only the sea would stop moving. But soon, the fresh air revived him, and curiosity replaced discomfort. He wandered among the passengers, asking questions, marveling at their costumes, and laughing at the strange mixture of accents. At night, he stood on deck gazing at the stars, brighter than he had ever seen in London. Mr. Fogg, by contrast, lived exactly as if he were still in Savile Row. He rose at 8, took breakfast at 9, walked for half an hour, then joined a game of whist with 3 gentlemen. He read his guidebook at fixed hours and checked his watch regularly. He did not waste a moment on idle talk or sightseeing. "My master travels the world," Passepartout muttered, "but he behaves as if he never left his armchair." Still, the servant admired Fogg's self-control. No storm, no noise, no change of scene could disturb his calm. Among the passengers was Detective Fix, an officer of Scotland Yard. He had secretly followed Fogg from Calais, convinced that the mysterious gentleman was the thief who had robbed the Bank of England. Fix kept a close watch, walking the deck at all hours, pretending to admire the sea while keeping Fogg in view. He noted every detail, the calm way Fogg handled his cards at whist, the exact change he gave the steward, the precise moments when he walked on deck. At Brindisi in Italy, the ship stopped briefly to take on coal. While passengers stretched their legs, Fix hurried to send a telegram to London. "Suspect has boarded Mongolia. Bound for Suez. Please send arrest warrant to await him." But the telegraph wires were slow. Messages crawled across Europe and the Mediterranean at the pace of old horses, not lightning. Fix feared that the warrant would not arrive in time. "No matter," he thought grimly, "I shall not lose sight of him. One mistake, one slip, and I will have my proof." Passepartout knew nothing of Fix's suspicions. For him, the voyage was a dream. He had never seen such clear skies, such blue water, such brilliant sunsets. He laughed like a boy when he saw dolphins leaping beside the ship. He clapped his hands when flying fish scattered like silver arrows across the waves. He stared for hours at the coastlines, Italy's rocky shores, the distant islands rising like clouds from the sea. One evening he said aloud, "Ah, France, I miss you, but what wonders await me! Who could have imagined I would travel farther in 1 week than in all my life before?" The young Frenchman also began to feel respect for his master. Fogg never spoke unkindly, never raised his voice, and always paid fairly. He seemed cold, but he was never cruel. Passepartout thought, perhaps this journey will not be so bad after all.